The rain battered against the windows of my tiny apartment, each drop echoing like a countdown to something I'd spent 3 years trying to escape. Lightning split the sky, briefly igniting the room in a pale flash before darkness reclaimed it. In that flicker of light, I caught my own reflection in the cracked mirror-sunken eyes, cheeks hollow, hair yanked back in a messy bun. A stranger stared back at me. "Mommy." A small voice came from the bedroom doorway. "We can't sleep." I turned. There stood my twins Noah and Nia clutching their matching stuffed foxes. They were only 2.5, yet every inch of them belonged to their father, the storm-blue eyes, the strong little jaws already hinting at the man he'd been. My joy and my terror rolled into 2 small bodies. "Come here." "My loves," I whispered, holding my arms open. They padded across the worn carpet in their tiny socks, pajamas rustling as they moved. I inhaled their baby shampoo scent, letting it soften my nerves. 3 years on the run. 3 years of false names, dingy apartments, cash jobs, and sleeping with one eye open. 3 years of loving children who were half him. I hadn't always been Claire Martin. Once, I was Isabella Gray, personal assistant to Dominic Varela, Chicago's most powerful restaurateur. At least that's what his business cards claimed. In reality, his glittering empire of bistros and nightclubs masked a criminal network that reached far deeper than any police report dared suggest. I could still recall my first day at Varela Enterprises. Fresh out of college, drowning in student loans, desperate for the job. The high-rise office black marble floors. Walls of glass revealing Lake Michigan had been intimidating, but not as much as the man himself, Miss Gray. His voice had been velvet laced with gravel when we met. "Welcome to the family." I hadn't known then what family meant to Dominic Varela. He wasn't the stereotype, no gaudy rings, no loud suits. He wore muted charcoal and crisp white shirts. His only ornament, a platinum watch worth more than my car. He moved like a predator, at rest confident enough to let others scurry around him. At first, my assignments were small. Deliver packages, schedule meetings, don't ask questions. The pay was excellent, the perks unbelievable. Slowly, I became indispensable. "You're quick with numbers," he said one night as I reorganized his calendar, startling me by appearing silently at my desk. His cologne hit me before his voice did cedarwood and something darker, dangerous. "And you know when to stay quiet." "That's rare." My heart thudded as a shadow fell over my work. When he invited me to dinner at his flagship restaurant, Lauro, it wasn't a question. That dinner changed everything. The private room, the one that cost more than my rent, the way his stormy eyes never left my face. "Why me?" I'd asked, emboldened by my 3rd glass of wine. His smile had been slow, deliberate. "Because you're different, Isabella. You see things as they are, not how you want them to be." I thought it was a compliment. I didn't yet know it was a warning. A crash of thunder ripped me back to the present, making the twins flinch in my arms. "It's okay," I whispered, smoothing their dark hair his hair. "Just the sky playing drums. Is the sky angry, Mommy?" Nia asked. If only she knew how much scarier an angry man could be than an angry sky. I tucked them back into bed with extra kisses. They deserved more than this, more than a nameless town near Portland, where I worked mornings in a cafe and nights doing remote bookkeeping. We barely scraped by. I couldn't even afford the specialist to figure out why Noah sometimes struggled to breathe when he ran too hard. Back in the living room, I pulled out the locked box hidden under a loose floorboard. Inside, $4,317, 3 sets of fake IDs, and a small .38 revolver I never fired but kept loaded. Next to these, a photo I couldn't burn Dominic and me at a gala, his arm tied around my waist, both of us smiling as if a future existed. That was 2 weeks before I learned what happened to those who betrayed. Dominic Varela, I'd been working late, prepping for a new club opening, when I opened the wrong spreadsheet. Instead of supplier costs, I found shipment schedules, coded payments, and what could only be a hit list. The dates matched, accidents, and suicides reported in the Tribune. Marco, Dominic's head of security, saw me from the doorway. His expression didn't change, but my death warrant had been signed. I should have run that night. Instead, I clung to the fantasy that Dominic would protect me, that what we had meant something. The next day, I overheard him and Marco. She saw the Dresden file. Marco's voice was flat. "You're sure?" Dominic asked. "Yes, boss." A pause. "This time I'll handle it." 3 words. My blood had run cold. That night, Dominic cooked for me himself, a rare thing. Opened a bottle of wine he'd been saving. "To us," he toasted, eyes locked on mine. I pretended to drink, my mind racing. "You're distracted, Corazon," he murmured, brushing my hair back with fingers that had likely ordered death. "Something on your mind?" I forced a smile. "End of quarter reports." "You know, you can tell me anything," he said softly. "I would never let anyone hurt you. Never." But that night, as he slept beside me, I slipped from his bed for the last time. I took nothing traceable. Packed essentials, emptied my meager savings, vanished. 2 weeks later, holed up in a motel 3 states away, I discovered I was pregnant. Another crash of thunder snapped me back. I hid the box, checked the locks again. The storm outside was feral now, wind howling around the building. I was making tea when I heard it a sound out of place with the rain. Tires on wet gravel, headlights swept across my wall, then died. A black Mercedes class sat in the lot. Not just any exactly like the ones Dominic's security used. My blood iced over. After 3 years, how? A car door opened. Even through the rain, I knew that silhouette, broad shoulders. Predatory calm. Dominic Dot, and he wasn't alone. 2 more men flanked him, shoulder holsters bulging beneath their coats. Instinct roared to life. I grabbed the twins, placed them in the closet of my bedroom. "Stay here, babies?" "Stay quiet like in our hiding game?" Their sleepy nods shattered me. We'd practiced too many times. I grabbed my emergency box, pulled on sneakers, reached for my phone, 3 precise knocks on the door. "Isabella?" His voice. Low, patient. "Open the door, Corazon." "I know you're in there." I backed away, phone to my chest. 3 years of running, and now he was here, separated by a flimsy lock. Don't make this harder than it has to be. My mind raced. Back window no covered. Neighbors no one to help. "You have the wrong apartment," I called, voice disguised. A soft chuckle. "Claire Martin, then." Or should I say Anna Cole? Marissa King? You've had so many names. My knees nearly gave out. He knew everything. Had he always known? "What do you want?" I demanded. "Open the door and I'll tell you. How did you find me?" "Your mother's illness?" The floor dropped. "Mom stage 4 cancer?" "I'd risked everything to visit her." "You've been watching my mother?" "I've been paying for her care," he said simply. "The best oncologists, experimental treatments, anything." My mother's doctors had told her about an anonymous benefactor. Dominic. Why? "She's the grandmother of my children," he cut in, his voice finally hardening. "Children you hid from me for 3 years. How long have you known?" I whispered. 6 months. His tone like stone. "Where you were?" 3 months. I had men watching, keeping me safe. Safe? Safe? I spat. "From anyone but you?" "I needed to be sure," he said. "That they're mine." I laughed bitter. "Have you seen them?" "They're you. Open the door, Isabella." Not a request. A command. Some part of me, some part that still dreamed of him, wanted to end this running. My hand moved to the chain. The door swung open. Dominic Varela stood there, filling the doorway, larger than I remembered. A few silver strands in his dark hair, lines at the corners of his eyes. Black overcoat, dried despite the storm. Behind him, Marco and another man scanned the hall. "You look tired," he said softly. "That happens when you raise twins alone," I replied. Study dot something flickered across his face gone before I could name it. "May I come in?" 5 minutes, I said. "Keep your voice down." They're sleeping. He stepped inside. His cologne hit me like a memory of nights I'd buried. He scanned the apartment, the secondhand furniture, the toys, the bills, and his jaw tightened. This is how you've been living? This is how most people live, I shot back. You could have had more. You still could. At what price? Is that why you ran? You thought I'd hurt you. I saw the Dresden file, Dominic. I know what happens to people who know too much. He raked a hand through his hair, frustration real. I wasn't going to hurt you. I was going to propose. The world tilted. What? The night you left. The wine? The ring in my safe. Then why say you handle it? Because I needed to explain before I asked you to be my wife. Your business? I said flatly. Extortion, drugs, murder, it's more complicated than that. A sound from the hall. Small feet padding. Nia stood in the doorway. Fox clutched her chest. Mommy, who's that man? Time stopped. Dominic turned, seeing his daughter for the first time. Shock, wonder, fear flickered across his face. I moved quickly, scooping her up, placing myself between them. This is an old friend of Mommy's. He was just leaving. You look like Noah, she said to him. A muscle jumped in his jaw. Does he? His voice rough. I carried her back, tucking her beside her brother. Go back to sleep, sweetheart, I whispered. The man has sad eyes, Mommy, she murmured before drifting off. When I returned, Dominic hadn't moved. He stared at the children's drawings on my fridge. They're beautiful, he said. Yes, I replied. He turned. Why did you run, Isabella? The real reason. I told you. I saw what happens to people who know too much about your business, and you didn't trust me enough to explain. You're a criminal, Dominic. A killer. I've never killed anyone who didn't deserve it, he said simply. Who decides that? You? I need to see him, Dominic said quietly. My son. No, they're my children too. You have no legal claim. A DNA test would prove it in seconds, he said. I won't separate them from you. But I won't be separated from them either. We stood, 3 years of secrets hanging between us. What do you want, Dominic? My family, he said simply. You, them, us. That's not possible. Why not? Because I don't love you anymore? You're still a terrible liar, Corazon. A harsh cough from the bedroom. Nose asthma, I ran to him. Inhaler wasn't working. His lips blew. He needs a hospital, Dominic said. Already kneeling beside us, he gathered Noah into his arms with surprising gentleness. Bring Nia, my men will drive. On the frantic ride, Dominic held Noah, whispering to him in English, then slipping into Spanish. I hadn't known he spoke to children like that. So much I hadn't known Dot at the hospital. I sat rigid, Nia asleep in my lap. Dominic disappeared behind swinging doors with Noah and the doctors. His men formed a perimeter, not sure if to protect or contain us. When a nurse finally came. He's stabilized. Relief nearly broke me. Your husband asked me to tell you, she added. I didn't correct her. I turned to Marco. Has he always known? No, Marco said. But he never stopped looking. He only found you when you went to see your mother. Protecting me? I laughed bitterly. From who? The only person I'm running from is him. Before I could press, Dominic emerged. Even here, among worried families, he commanded space. He's okay? I asked. For now, Dominic said, sitting beside me. But it's more serious than asthma. They'll run tests. Pulmonary, cardiac. I can't afford, don't. His eyes flashed. Money was never an issue. I looked away. I didn't want your money. You've been breaking yourself working 2 jobs. Well, our children, he stopped, jaw tight. Why didn't you use the account? What account? The trust. 5 million in your name. I thought that was temporary for a project. It was yours, Isabella. Still is. I wouldn't have taken it, I whispered. Silence. Has he had these attacks before? I nodded. The doctor said asthma. But it's worse now. You didn't get a second opinion? His voice sharpened. I did what I could, I said. Health insurance isn't easy with a fake identity. Regret flickered across his face. I'm not blaming you. I just can't understand why you chose this life for them. I chose safety, I said firmly. From me, not a question. Yes. You were the one person who saw me, he said quietly. Really saw me. Not the power. Not the fear. Just me, I saw all of it, I whispered. Including the darkness. And you ran. I had to protect them. From you, from your world. Long silence. His eyes moved from my face to Mia. When he spoke again, his voice was resolute. That life is over now. You're coming home. All three of you. No, I said. We have a life here. This isn't a life, he gestured to everything. This is survival. It's what we have. It's not what you'll have anymore. I've missed 3 years. I won't miss another day. A nurse appeared. Mr. Varela, you can see your son now. Dominic stood, extended his hand to me. Come, he'll want you. I hesitated, then took it. His fingers closed over mine, warm and strong. A touch I tried so hard to forget. Marco moved to take Nia, but Dominic shook his head. No, the family stays together. Family? Such a simple word. So complicated in meaning. The hospital room was dim, lit only by the soft glow of monitors. Noah lay in the bed, small chest rising and falling in steady rhythm. An oxygen mask covered half his face, but color had returned to his lips. Relief washed over me in waves so strong my knees nearly gave out. Beside me, Dominic stood with arms folded, watching his son with a gaze that was equal parts awe and fury. I should have been here, he murmured. You shouldn't be here at all, I whispered back. Clutching Nia tighter against me, he turned, eyes narrowing. You think you can keep them from me? From their father? They don't need a father who lives in shadows, I said. And yet here I am, he countered. His men guarded the hallway like soldiers. We were trapped. The thought turned my stomach. The following morning, doctors confirmed what I feared. Noah's condition wasn't just asthma. His lungs were weakened by something congenital. He'd need specialists. Treatments I couldn't dream of affording. Dominic signed every paper without hesitation, the platinum watch on his wrist flashing as if mocking me. To him, 5 figures were pocket change. To me, they were survival. This isn't about money, I snapped as we left the doctor's office. Everything is about money, he replied coldly. Then his tone softened. But this is about blood. By nightfall, we were back at my apartment. I'd prayed that he'd leave us here. Instead, Dominic walked through my living room like a man inspecting real estate. This place isn't safe, he said finally. My enemies will find it in a week, less. Then go, I bid out. Take your danger with you? I didn't come to negotiate, Isabella. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. I came to take back what's mine. I stiffened. We are not yours. He tilted his head, eyes burning into me. Tell me that again. Look me in the eye and tell me you don't still feel it. His nearness brought back everything, the nights of whispered Spanish endearments, the warmth of his hand on my bare back, the way I once believed he could protect me from the world. My chest tightened, but I forced myself to hold his gaze. I left because I do feel it, I said, voice shaking. And that's exactly why you're dangerous. For the first time, his expression cracked. Hurt flickered there, real, raw, but then it was gone, replaced by steel. You and the kids are coming with me tonight, he said flatly. I didn't sleep. How could I? His men were stationed outside like wolves. At dawn, I bundled Noah and Nia quietly, praying Dominic had dropped his guard. We slipped toward the back exit. Going somewhere? Marco's voice stopped me cold. He stood at the door, gun visible at his side. His smile wasn't friendly. Dominic appeared behind him, buttoning his black coat. His eyes met mine. He said nothing, just held out his hand, and in that silence, I realized something terrifying. Dominic wasn't my only enemy. That night, in the safety of Dominic's penthouse, a fortress of glass and steel above Chicago, learned the truth. He hadn't come for us out of love alone. He'd come because someone inside his empire had betrayed him, and they knew about the children. Stay here, he ordered, pacing before the floor-to-ceiling windows. The city glittered beneath us like a million stars. You think I'll stay locked in your cage? I shot back. He turned sharply, his voice low and dangerous. This is not a cage. It's the only place I can keep you alive. I almost laughed. Alive, maybe. Free? Never. Better alive in my world, he said, stepping closer, than dead in yours. Our eyes locked. The storm between us wasn't just fear, it was want, it was history. It was everything I'd tried to bury. But as I tucked my children into silk sheets that night, one truth echoed louder than all the others. Dominic Varilla wasn't the only monster circling us, and some monsters don't want to steal your freedom. They want to steal your children. Asterisk, the city glittered outside the penthouse windows, 1,000 lights burning in the darkness. Dominic's fortress towered above it all, but no amount of steel and glass could keep the fear from gnawing at me. I couldn't sleep. Every sound, the hum of the elevator, the shuffle of guards outside, made me jump. I checked on Noah and Nia again, their little faces soft with dreams. They looked so safe. Too safe. As if this world hadn't already claimed them. When I turned back, Dominic was standing in the doorway, watching me. You don't trust me, he said quietly. Why would I? I snapped, his jaw clenched. He looked at our son, then our daughter. Because right now I'm the only one standing between them and the men who want them dead. The word dead turned my blood to ice dot the next morning. Chaos erupted. Marco burst into the room with 3 men at his back, his face pale. Boss, we found one of our drivers dead, tortured. They wanted information on the kids. Dominic's eyes flicked to me, then back to Marco. Who? Could be Ruiz's crew, Marco said. Or someone closer? Closer? Dominic's voice dropped to a growl. Marco hesitated. That hesitation was all I needed. Someone inside, I whispered. Dominic's silence confirmed it. Hours later. I overheard what Dominic didn't want me to hear. Boss, one of his lieutenants said, voice tight. We have proof. The leak is Marco. The room fell silent. No, Dominic said sharply. Marco has been with me 15 years. Loyalty breaks when the price is high enough, the man replied. And Ruiz offered him the highest. My stomach lurched. Marco, the man who had once smiled as he blocked my escape. The one who had looked at my children like they were pawns, had betrayed us all along. That night, I woke to the sound of glass shattering. I ran to the bedroom empty. Noah and Nia's beds were empty. My scream tore through the penthouse. Dominic! He was already running, gun drawn. His men swarmed the hall, but it was too late. The side window was shattered. The guards outside were dead, and Marco was gone. With my children, the hours that followed blurred into a nightmare. Dominic's empire mobilized like a machine. Phones rang, cars peeled out into the rain, streets were locked down. Dominic stood in the center of it all, a line pacing, eyes darker than the storm outside. They took them to Ruiz, he said at last, voice deadly calm. And he'll use them to break me. Then we go now, I demanded. You don't understand, he snapped. Ruiz doesn't keep hostages. He keeps leverage. If I walk in, he'll use them to destroy me. Then what? My voice cracked. We wait until he kills them? His hands gripped my arms, hard enough to bruise. I swear on my life, Isabella, I will get them back. For the first time, I saw something in his eyes I didn't before. Fear. When we stormed Ruiz's warehouse, gunfire lit the night. Dominic's men cut through like shadows, silencers hissing. I stayed close behind Dominic, heart in my throat. Clutching the revolver he'd shoved into my hands. Inside, The air smelled of oil and blood. And then I heard Noah crying. We found them tied in chairs, Nia trying to comfort her brother. Marco stood over them, gun in hand. His face twisted into something unrecognizable. "Stay back, boss," he sneered. "Or I paint the floor with your son's blood." Dominic didn't flinch. "Marco, put it down. 15 years and you chose her?" Marco spat. "Her and her brats. I deserved more. Ruiz offered me more? Then you should have taken his money and vanished," Dominic growled. "Because now you're already dead." The next seconds were chaos. Marco raised the gun aimed at Noah. My screen tore out. Dominic moved faster. A single shot. Marco's body hit the floor. Eyes wide in shock. Silence. Dominic dropped the gun, rushing to the twins. His hands shook as he untied them, pulling them into his arms. Noah sobbed into his chest. Nia whispered, "I knew you'd come." I sank to my knees beside them, tears streaming. Relief, terror, fury, everything collided in my chest. Back at the penthouse, the children finally slept, safe again for now. I stood by the window, staring out at the endless city lights. Dominic came up behind me, his reflection joining mine in the glass. "You hate me," he said softly. "I should," I whispered, "but you don't." I closed my eyes. His hand brushed mine, tentative, almost gentle. For a man like him, that hesitation was more dangerous than any gun. Don't mistake fear for love. "Dominic," I said, pulling away, but even as I said it, I wasn't sure which one it was anymore, because love and fear, in his world, were the same thing. The city was never quiet, not even in the middle of the night. Sirens in the distance, tires hissing on wet streets, the hum of electricity beneath glass and steel. Dominic's penthouse stood high above it all, but even here, danger pressed against the windows like the storm outside. Noah and Nia slept in the next room, finally at peace. But I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Marco's face as he died. Gun still pointed at my son. Dominic entered the room quietly, jacket off, shirt sleeves rolled, gun holstered at his side. He poured himself a glass of whiskey, then leaned against the counter, watching me. "You haven't spoken since the warehouse," he said. "What do you want me to say?" I whispered, "Thank you for killing your best friend in front of our children." His jaw tightened. "I want you to say you understand why I do what I do." "I understand perfectly," I shot back. "That's why I ran." The next day, the threat became real. Ruiz had gone silent. Too silent. Dominic's men reported movements in the city cars tailing us, new faces in familiar places. Dominic called it the calm before the storm. But when I took the twins to the penthouse playroom, I found a note tucked inside Nia's stuffed fox. "The next time, I won't miss." My blood froze. Someone had been inside. That night, Dominic doubled security. His men patrolled every hallway, every floor. But his fury wasn't aimed at Ruiz, it was aimed at me. "You should have told me about the note the moment you found it." His voice thundered through the room. I didn't want to terrify the kids. I snapped back. "You think you can shield them from this?" "From me? I've been shielding them for 3 years." The silence that followed cut deeper than any shouting. His storm blue eyes bored into mine, filled with a mixture I couldn't decipher: rage, regret, something dangerously close to love. "You're mine, Isabella," he said finally, his voice low, deadly soft. "You always were. Running didn't change that." "I am not yours," I whispered, though even to my own ears, it sounded like a lie. The attack came at dawn. Explosions rocked the lower levels of the tower. Alarms screamed. Dominic's men rushed to lock down the floor. Gunfire echoed from the stairwells. Ruiz had found us. Dominic shoved a gun into my hands, his own already drawn. "Stay with the children," he ordered. "No matter what you hear." "No, Isabella." His eyes locked on mine, fierce and unyielding. "If I don't make it back, you run. You take them and you run." The words hit me like a knife. Dominic never planned to survive this. The battle was chaos. Dominic's empire against Ruiz's soldiers. Glass shattered, walls shook, the air filled with smoke and gunpowder. I huddled in the safe room with Noah and Nia clutching the revolver. Every second stretching into eternity. And then the door burst open. Not Dominic. Ruiz. His smile was cold as he stepped inside. Blood splattered on his shirt. So these are the famous twins, he sneered. The Empire's weakest link. I raised the gun, hands trembling. He laughed. Do you even know how to use that? Before I could answer, Dominic appeared behind him. Silent, deadly, gun raised. One shot. Rusula stood at my feet. Dominic's eyes met mine through the smoke. For a heartbeat, the world stopped. You see? He whispered. I'll always come for you. Hours later, Ruiz's men were scattered, his body burned, his empire collapsing. Dominic had won, but victory felt like another kind of prison. As dawn broke, I stood by the window with the twins. Dominic came to me, blood still on his shirt, exhaustion etched into his face. It's over, he said. You're safe now. No, I whispered. We'll never be safe. Not with you. His expression hardened. You're not leaving me again. I have to, I said, tears burning my eyes. Because if I stay, one day our children will look at you and see a monster. And what do they see now? He asked, voice breaking for the first time. I looked at him, the man who had saved us, the man who had damned us, the man I still loved against all reason. They see their father, I whispered. And that's the most dangerous thing of all. The story ends with Isabella standing at the edge of two worlds, freedom in flight or love inside a cage. Dominic, the man she fears and desires, holds out his hand. And for the first time, she doesn't know which choice will save her children, and which one will destroy them all. The city had fallen silent after the war. Ruiz was gone. Dominic's enemies scattered like ashes in the wind. For the first time in years, there was no sound of gunfire, no threat lurking in the shadows, but silence can be its own kind of terror. Dominic ruled again, stronger than ever. Yet in his victory, he seemed more human-haunted, restless, a man who had burned the world only to find the ashes couldn't fill the emptiness. And I stood at the crossroads I'd been running from for 3 years. That night, he came to me. The twins were asleep, their soft breaths filling the quiet of the penthouse. Dominic leaned against the doorframe, shirt open at the collar, eyes heavy with exhaustion and something else. You're leaving, he said. Not a question. A certainty. I swallowed hard. I can't let them grow up in this life, Dominic. I won't. His jaw flexed, his fists clenched at his sides. For a moment, I thought the storm inside him would erupt again. But instead, he exhaled slowly. You think I don't want the same? His voice was rough, almost broken. You think I want my son to hold a gun before he can even drive? My daughter to learn to lie before she learns to write? My chest tightened. This was the man I remembered, the boy I once loved before the world turned him into a king of shadows, then let them go. I whispered, "Let us go." The silence stretched, sharp as glass. Then Dominic crossed the room in 3 strides, taking my face in his hands. "You're mine," he whispered against my lips. But maybe they don't have to be. His eyes burned into mine. I'll give you freedom. I'll give them a life without blood on their hands. But only if you promise me one thing. My voice shook. What? That you'll never erase me from their story. That they'll know who I am. That they'll know I love them. The tears I've been holding back broke free. They'll know. I swore. They'll always know. At dawn, a black SUV waited at the curb. A driver Dominic trusted. New passports. A new life. I held Noah and Nia's hands, the weight of their innocence almost too much to bear. Dominic stood by the car, his face unreadable, his storm finally quiet. When I tried to speak, my voice broke. Dominic? He silenced me with a single look. A king dismissing his queen. A man breaking his own heart. Go, he said. Before I changed my mind, the city grew smaller in the rearview mirror, skyscrapers swallowed by the horizon. For the first time in years, the future stretched before me like an open road, but my chest ached with every mile. Because I had left behind more than a city. I had left behind the man who would burn the world for me, but never escaped the flames himself. Asterisk my final words about love. Some love stories don't end with forever. Some end with freedom. And sometimes, freedom is the most painful kind of love.